A person in my YouTube comments put out a really interesting theory about Sanji, and I want to share it with you guys because I think this theory can absolutely be true. So the comment was about Sanji awakening Conquerors Haki, and this theory is that if Sanji does unlock Conquerors Haki, it will be against a woman. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Sanji refuses to hit women. He would rather get beaten to a pulp before even touching a woman in a negative manner. But if Sanji unlocks Conquerors Haki against the woman, it would allow him to make them faint without hurting them or touching them. What do you think about this theory? One amazing thing about Monkey D. Luffy is his ability to recruit allies to his side everywhere he goes. Mihawk even described this as the most dangerous ability in the world. But if he's able to do this, why have so many of his own crew members betrayed him? We have seen it with almost half of the crew at this point. First was Nami at the Baratier when she left the crew to go back to Arlong, then later it was Usopp at Water 7, and the next arc over it was Nico Robin at Enies Lobby, and then finally Sanji in Whole Cake Island. You can argue about all the different plot reasons as much as you want, but at the end of the day, these four still betrayed him. Will Luffy get one more major power-up in the series? I think he does, but it's not what you're thinking. It's not Gear 6 or anything else crazy. I think Luffy's gonna have a little bit of a growth spurt. I mean, it only makes sense. Luffy is 5'8", and his grandfather Garp is 9'5" tall, and his father Dragon is 8'5" tall, so Luffy's genetics aren't hitting right now. And if the Crocomom theory is correct, he is also 8 feet tall, so it wouldn't be crazy if Luffy hit a growth spurt. He's only 19 years old, and it's One Piece after all. Anything is possible. When Luffy went to Drum Kingdom all the way back at the start of the story, it is said that not long before he arrived, Blackbeard had attacked the country. So what reasons would Blackbeard have to attack Drum Kingdom? Well, Vivi stated that Drum Kingdom once had many great doctors, so I think it's possible that's where Blackbeard learned how to use 2 Devil Fruit powers. But there's one more reason I think Blackbeard was there. We know he's been searching for many specific Devil Fruits, and I think he also attacked Drum Island in search of another one, and that would be the Earth God fruit. As we know, Luffy is the Sun God, so I don't think this is a crazy statement, but Blackbeard couldn't find this fruit because it is in possession of somebody else, Tony Chopper. Do you know what the rarest devil fruit in One Piece is? Because this is something that has never been specifically stated, but there's gotta be an answer, right? So to figure this out, let's look at devil fruits in a tier format. At the bottom will be Zoans. They are the most common. There is the most of them out of any other devil fruit, so they're at the bottom. And then right above that we'll have Paramecia types, and one step above that will be Logias, because there's very few of those. And then above Logias you'll have ancient Zoans, which could be interchangeable with Logias, but I think the undisputed top of this pyramid is mythical Zoans. Mythical Zoans are the rarest type because there are so few of them, but at the tippity top of those mythical Zoans is Luffy and the other 4 gods. Luffy's fruit, as we figured out, is the Sun God, and as we saw in Skypiea, there's probably also a Rain God, Forest God, and Earth God somewhere in the series. So I think those 4 devil fruits will be the rarest devil fruits in One Piece. There's a One Piece character that I think everybody needs to respect a little bit more than they already do, because when you think about the strongest One Piece characters, what makes them strong? Typically Haki or whatever weapon they use, whether it's a sword or something else, or a strong devil fruit power. And some people like Kaido happen to have all 3 of those, which makes them very, very strong. But then you have Monkey D. Garp, who has very good Haki, but then after that he is just straight hands. At one point he was top 3 or debatably higher in the story, and all he had was Haki and his fist to his name. I think that is absurd, especially in One Piece where there are so many great powers, because Garp is a freak of nature. Nami is widely regarded as one of the weakest Straw Hats, which is crazy to me because she has an attack in her arsenal that can one-shot really strong characters. And it's not what you're thinking. It's not her Fist of Fury that she hits Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji with. That attack is strong, don't get me wrong, but this other one is an actual named attack. We've only seen her use it twice so far, and one of them was unintentional. The attack is her Happy Punch. If she whips them out, or I mean the move out, it will one-shot any male in the vicinity. Do you remember the time that Luffy was intentionally racist? I know that sounds like a crazy statement, but just hear me out. This happened during the Long Ring Longland arc, so you may not remember because that arc was kind of just like a fever dream. But when the Straw Hats first arrive to the island, they find this very long deer-like creature, and Luffy, being Luffy, points at it and says, "Hey Chopper, is that your cousin?" It was a really funny joke, but also maybe a little bit racist towards Chopper. Did you know that Jujutsu Kaisen copied One Piece? You may have seen this meme from Jujutsu Kaisen going around where Geto says this to Gojo.
Do you think you're the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Or are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest?
But this isn't anything new. This happened in One Piece a very long time ago, and it pains me that so many One Piece fans forgot, because Usopp said this to Luffy. Some ask if the champion makes the afro. or if the afro makes the champion. Afro Luffy is his best power-up, but you know what they say, every original has its cheap knockoff. Zoro is the reason Luffy became a good captain. I think without Zoro, Luffy is way different as a captain and doesn't make it as far. We've seen so many times where Zoro just keeps Luffy in check, whether that was his speech after Luffy and Usopp's fight, or when he forced everyone to ignore Usopp until he said he was sorry. And you can't forget about the time in Punk Hazard where he told Luffy to quit screwing around. It's little things like that that make Zoro the best vice captain in the show, and it's also just great writing. Without stuff like this, the crew would just not be as good. Zoro is the glue that keeps everyone together. Is Luffy actually the villain in One Piece? He's painted to be this great guy who saves everyone, but there might be a deeper meaning behind his actions. And my reasoning for this is Impel Down and Marineford. At Impel Down, he released all of the world's worst criminals that terrorized people just to have a chance at saving his brother. Was it worth putting countless people's lives in danger just to end up failing in Marineford anyways? Akainu was right. Luffy is the real villain. The more you think about power scaling in One Piece, the less it makes sense for Shanks to lose his arm to a Sea King. A Sea King. That's gotta sting Oda a little bit. Because yeah, of course, this happened before Haki was even a thing in the story. But even then, it kind of appears that Shanks uses Conquerors Haki to scare the thing away. And just knowing how strong Shanks is, him losing an arm to a Sea King of all things is crazy. And even though it doesn't make a lot of sense, at the end of the day, you can say it's a good symbol of Shanks' sacrifice towards the new generation. The weird thing about Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece is the fact that Buggy would legitimately be the strongest character in the Jujutsu Kaisen verse. I mean, just think about Sukuna trying to use his domain Malevolent Shrine. Buggy would just be standing there wondering when it's gonna start. All Buggy has to do is use one Buggy Ball and it's over for the entire verse. Sukuna and Gojo stand no chance against Buggy D Clown. Here's an attack that Luffy only used one singular time. It was actually in his battle against Foxy, and he calls this move Gum Gum Flail. And what he does in this move is put his right arm back and swing it around. It almost looks like helicopter blades. And after he gets enough momentum and power on it, he sends one singular jab straight to the face. As far as I know, he has only done this once, and I think he got the inspiration from Donkey Kong and Super Smash Bros. A very interesting devil fruit in One Piece is the Kibi Kibi no Mi. This is a Paramecia type devil fruit that was eaten by Otama, and with her ability, she can make dango that can be used to tame animals. We saw that she can even tame Smile Fruit users as well. However, there is a downside because the effects will wear off after 1 month. Overall, this isn't a super strong devil fruit power, but in a situation like Onigashima, it actually became very useful. Is it worth losing your ability to swim though? Blackbeard's introduction into One Piece is one of the most underrated because most of the time when a villain is introduced, it's something more serious or sinister, but with Blackbeard, it was the complete opposite. Luffy met Blackbeard because they were eating cherry pie next to each other, and there wasn't really a confrontation between the two. They just disagreed about whether or not the cherry pie was good. But overall, the best interaction between the two was outside of the bar, when Blackbeard and Luffy were talking about people's dreams. Luffy has won so many battles, but not because of pure strength. Sure, that is part of it, but a lot of his battles have been won because of his crazy winning strategies. For example, when he fought Crocodile, he figured out liquid was his weakness, so he created a water backpack and became Water Luffy. And when that didn't work, he put his own blood on his fist so that way he could punch Crocodile. And another example is against Magellan. It's another character that he couldn't hit with his normal fists, so he combined his power with Mr. Three's power and created Wax Armor Luffy. And lastly, when he figured out he could use a mirror against Foxy. Being able to redirect Foxy's attack is the reason why he won this fight. What do you think is Luffy's craziest winning strategy?